It's so bright today, day 55, that I'm trying 4 notches down in the sun, so yeah, just thought I'd better tell you that it's different, it might not. Okay, and I've just done my first flush for the day. I've had a bit of wind like overnight, and the old keyboard has fell down us, and I hope it still works. Didn't hear it. Must have happened when I was asleep, sort of thing. So yeah, I think I'll have to get the old sunnies out the car. Found that outside on the almost looked like a snake. That's the trouble with Australia. You don't want to bend down to pick up a stick which is actually a snake to try and hit a snake which is actually a stick. Sort of thing. The old Aussie joke there. Anyway. I put some in last night. I put this one in close to this candle there, so it's basically an inch to an inch and a half maximum away from the candle. Put one in the centre of the pot, so it's the furthest away from the candles. So we'll see how things develop. The sand's very nice. It still drips almost instantaneously when you put the water in, so that's interesting. If I have any more fly traps from other pot when I'm planting up other pots, I might plant one right next to or between 2 candles. Yeah, right between one of these things, right on the edge there, maybe over here or over there, just to see if there's any difference. Maybe putting them right next to the candle is going to be toxic. I don't know, but anyway, just back to normal focus. Yeah, this one hasn't actually drained through properly, but it is still draining, as you can probably see. If you look at that bit on the grass there, it should the drain through. As long as it drains at least within 10 seconds, you're fine. The best drip rate is about 1 drip per second. In other words, a mil per minute, basically, because 60 drips usually equates roughly to about a mil. Roughly. So yeah, I probably will need my folder actually, and that means I probably will need my my sunnies. So because I want to walk. I was looking at that diagram last night, and yeah, my patented sunnies that fit on my head all right. Okay, actually, you've just got a big head, Richard. You've just got a big head. It's got nothing to do with where the sunnies are. He's just got a big head. Okay. Anyway. Now, where was this diagram? Because I've also found another point somewhere. Yeah, this diagram here. I was looking at these things here. If I go to spot Cullen. And there's these things like if you look closely, there's a diagram there, and you can actually find them down there. There's ferns right in with it's just on the edge of the pocket, right on the edge of the pocketson, or within the pocketson. You've got various ferns, but you've also you got peat here as well. But the peat doesn't really extend much out from the pocketson. So basically, you can make the assumption therefore the top layer is the peat is only in the pocketson, so everything else is non what we call peat, I suppose, in a way. But if you notice, as I said, this statement up here, the Strida stricta produces phenolic acid, which is known to inhibit nitrogen fixation. Well, if you noticed out here where the Strida stricta really becomes dominant, there are no diene basically, so it's semi-savanna, semi-pocketson. So basically, does that mean that this idea about nitrogen fixation is important? We are actually getting nitrogen fixation in our pots, but so what I was saying is, and yeah, that's the other thing I think. If you look into this zone here, we have the water table sort of thing, and in between, but it's the brown, coffee coloured, encrusted organic hard pan down here sort of thing. So I'm thinking, can we have a pot that's basically, this one's draining through, that's obviously going to be the colour of the, that's obviously going to be the colour. And I've noticed there's a few blue patches in there, which is very interesting. because I put absolutely no copper into that whatsoever. So that's very interesting where that blue's coming from. It might be interesting. Maybe people were saying copper's so deadly, but it's actually something else that's blue that's in the medium that they think is copper, but it's not copper, it's something else. I don't know. So anyway, we'll see how we go. So this idea of having a brown wood on the top and maybe a white wood down the bottom, I'm thinking of going to something like having a 1 litre or 1 inch down the bucket of chalk, and then 3 litres of pure newspaper cellulose. In other words, it's not 1/3 newspaper cellulose and sand, just pure 1/3 newspaper. Then having 3 litres of pure quartzite sand, and then on top having a brown wood mixture of the 1/3 brown wood mixture, either peat, coir, bark chips, or anything else that's brown that you want to try, pine needles or something like that. You probably have chopped up really finely, like 1 by 1 millimeter sort of pine needle cubes or something, cubic centimeter sort of bits of pine needle sort of thing, and putting that on the top. So you basically have 3 litres, the 1 litre of material plus 2 litres of sand makes you 3 litres at the top capping, and then you've got 3 litres of pure sand, then you've got 3 litres of pure newspaper cellulose on the bottom in anaerobic conditions. Remember, and you talk about nitrogen drawdown, but I think that's really only in aerobic conditions, when it's sitting on the surface of something. When it's down below in the anaerobic conditions, I think that's where we get your nitrogen fixation. So that's, and they talk about in the roots only grow here in the top 4 inches, somewhere along here they talk about, but they didn't measure either the organic content or anything below the basically the 4 inches of the corings. Basically, they didn't do that, which is strange. So all the bizzo may be below their sampling level. Because they thought it was something else, so they didn't bother to actually, because Robert Schramm measured only for the stuff from the 4 inches, I believe. But also, what was also interesting is that it was mentioned here that they took stuff from 2 sites, and one of them is EDGECOMBE, which is, if you go back to that old, if you go back into the old National Geographic, a really old one from 1953, the photograph or image that's in there from 1953, that plant, when you look at on the sidebar, very small but very clearly readable, it actually says EDGECOMBE, North Carolina. So yeah, very interesting. I'm trying to find this. Where does it say? I should have been more organised, but as I say, it was a get out there and water very early sort of day, because the temperature is starting to ramp up. Where is it? Hang on, I just saw it. Robert Schramm, blah blah blah. It just jumped out at me. I have a habit of doing this sort of thing. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, here we go. Yep. Did I tell you I've got this like small area in my thing, and if my eye runs across it and it has something to do with myself or friends of mine or anything like that, I want to think it sort of flashes in front of my eyes, and it's here. I've lost it again now, but the EDGECOMBE there, EDGECOMBE and White Lake. So very interesting there. So and it talks about all this chemical analysis down there, but they only did that on the I think the first top 4 inches because the roots are supposed to be into there. But if our idea is correct that we have nitrogen fixation down the bottom of the pot and it comes up to the root zone, the roots don't actually have to go down to it. It actually comes up to the roots themselves. So, and if we got some sort of dynamic equilibrium where, as soon as it comes up, they take it away, basically, around the rhizosphere root zone, you'll be getting negligible to zero readings, whereas there's a lot down here. But just as it comes up, it's just taken away by the plants as they grow. It could be something like that. So that's just what I thought mention that sort of thing. So there's a lot more in this paper, but I don't think I can do it all today. I need to go in. I've got to have some breakfast now, I think. So, yeah, everything. I don't know. This leaf on the hair crapped out for some reason. I don't know. Oh, spot colouring. I've just taken it off spot colouring. This leaf on the edge here crapped out. So it was a nice leaf, and then it just sort of crapped out. So they can actually get really nice and suddenly just crap out for no apparent reason. So I think we are actually still having something happening in there. I can't know if you can see it, but hopefully we'll get some movement fairly shortly that will be indicative. But this one's not doing too well. But then again, it doesn't have chalk down the bottom, does it? So it may be a problem that the chalk in the big long pot is taking away all the fact that the big long tub has an anaerobic zone down the bottom, and they're getting stuff coming up from there. So yeah, anyway, not much else to report today, I don't think. The clip's going to run out fairly shortly, so I said I'm waiting for that one to drain before I can start flushing. At least I've started flushing this one, so it's slow, but it's not bad. So as long as it's within the 10-second sort of zone, the best is one drip per second. That's the best I found over my experience, from my own personal experience over many years of getting to grips with all these sort of techniques you have to do for CPs. That sort of dripping, 1, 2. If you count 2, that's 1 second. If you count and you halve it, that's your time in seconds usually, roughly. So 1, 2, drip, 1, 2, drip, 1, 2, drip. That gives you 1 drip per second, basically. Anyway, I'm thinking if there's more fly traps in the shop, of loading these up with water again and actually sticking a plant in them and see if we can get any action from those sort of thing, and just keep them going. Well, just to see, just basically pure sand in a glass jar with basically all anaerobic zone from about 1 inch downwards, basically. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But anyway, that's about it. That's about the update for today. Nothing much else to report, really. Maybe the Cape is starting to make a move, but how can a Cape be so hard to grow, fellas? That's what I want to know. I'm growing reasonable fly traps, but now the Capes are starting to get hard to grow. It's like I've got a seesaw table, and got an insect there. What's he trying to do? He's trying to swim to death. Are you trying to swim out, or are you just trying to swim to a trap? Don't swim into an open trap. You might think you've been rescued, but it'll be a sudden death syndrome, sunshine. Anyway, that's about it for now. Yeah, traps just keep getting redder and redder, as one might expect as we go into summer. But yeah, so anyway, that's about it. Nothing much else to report. See you tomorrow, I suppose. Hopefully with some plants in there if it starts to speed up and gets flushed through properly. But anyway, okay, over and out. See ya.